They have rights of activation, the machine spirits of everything from your gun to your tank to your spacecraft to your fridge.
Hello, I've merged with my fridge. Hello, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is LoreCrimes, and today it is Green Hat Day. Welcome to LoreCrimes. We will be talking about Techmarines, and by we, I mean Andy. Andy is going to talk a lot about Techmarines today.
Yeah.
What's in store for us, Mr. Andy?
Yeah. We're going to talk about Techmarines because Space Marine 2, it's our lifeline whenever there's anything we need to talk about. And there's just been an update on Space Marine 2 where you get to play as a Techmarine, which I've had a go at today and a bit of yesterday. So you'll also get to see my gameplay of me crumping the boys on that. But before we start, boys, what is your knowledge of Techmarines? Do you like them? Do you find them meh? What's your opinion on Techmarines?
They're fine. The art looks cool usually. They're from Mars, or they learn their stuff on Mars, and I don't know, they're aloof and mysterious.
They're really good.
Chat. By the way, this outfit I wore this when I was 12 years old. This is my Link costume from when I was 12, and it still fits me.
Huge.
I wore a green hat.
Good stuff.
This was not planned. Actually, I remembered it was Green Hat Day, and I looked over in a bag in my office, and my Link costume was in it because I just took it from my parents' house a couple weeks ago. So it worked out quite well. But I'm slutty Link.
Yep. Very good effort. Hal's not here today, we're afraid, so he'll have to be green hatted another day. Colin, what's your opinion on Techmarines?
You know, they're cool. Look, I've said before, if the cyberpunk future comes, I'm either going to be the male version of Rebecca from Cyberpunk Edge Runners and just be blue, or General Grievous with just nothing left. So nice. I could appreciate what they do, but otherwise, take them or leave them. Otherwise, they're not quite full AdMech, so they don't get the full 10 out of 10 points, but they're on their way.
Can you tell me what you do as a Techmarine in the game? Because there's no vehicles to do Techmarine stuff with.
Well,
you can plop down a turret.
Well, there's turrets kind of scattered throughout the missions. I love
tarantulas.
So you can just be like, hey, I'm going to activate this turret, and it'll just mulch anything nearby. You can tell he's got a little gun on his shoulder. So your super move is it just hits anything nearby. And you can get a plasma gun version. You can get an upgrade where it just targets the heavier enemies instead of the smaller ones. It's pretty cool, really. And his melee weapons are very crowd control-y, but very slow. So I had a little bit of fun trying to get the hang of him. This was my first game as level 1 on a roofless map or something. You see all the little yellow dots. It's just shooting everything over your shoulder.
Oh, interesting. That's fun.
Yeah, I liked it. But for those who don't know, the Techmarines are also known as the Freighter Astrotechnicus, and they were sired at the end of Unification, beginning of the Great Crusade, because the Emperor made an alliance with some creepy weirdos called the Adepts of Mars. And you fellas, what are the Adepts of Mars? What's their deal? What's their shtick? They're very red. It's
the AdMech, the Adeptus Mechanicus, but it was the Mechanic him back then, right?
Yes, sir.
They come before they cuss.
It's actually been a long time since I've looked in it. I don't even remember the history of Mars. It's just a human colony that turned into weirdos who worship the Omnissiah.
Well, I remember
the machinery and stuff.
They were always really, really into machines, and then the Age of Strife happened, and then the people who were perhaps a little too into machines were the ones who survived because they religiously just maintained stuff. And then, one Age of Strife later, you come out of that hellhole, and I worship machines. And, fair enough. You can call them weird if you want, like everyone else seems to be doing here right now. But I would just like to point out that they were getting out and about in the galaxy before even the Emperor did. So
they were so important to the Emperor that the Emperor let them stay religious.
Also, Eli, someone saying, what's up with the dough rag? It's not a dough rag. It's what's it called? It's headgear.
It's a cap.
A cap.
It's tall. Yeah. It's probably the size of my torso. What the heck?
But yeah, so the AdMech were quarantined on Mars during the warp storms that happened during the post Age of Strife. And so humans were kind of squabbling on Earth techno barbarians and all that jive. And then they were like, oh, what about those weirdos on Mars? And then this warp subsided and they went to say hello, and there were these weird guys like, hello, I've merged with my fridge. And you're like, oh, have you now? Right. And so, but if you remember the age of the Unification Wars, the Emperor made these guys called Thunder Warriors, which were like the proto Space Marines. And although they had power armor, they weren't like space worthy. You couldn't bring these guys to the vacuum of space to fight. You couldn't bring them to like a poison planet or something similar. So he needed some guys who would help make their armor a bit more, substantial. And so he started to make the first model of like Space Marine armor, which is the Mark II Crusader. And it's the beginning of a very very long love affair with fans of Warhammer and the many versions of Space Marine armor, which is the most iconic system selling part of Warhammer, which is men in bulky suits of armor have so many fun helmets, pauldrons, customization, fun times. And the Adepts of Mars are very good at creating this stuff and maintaining this stuff, but they're not exactly robust when in a fight. Techmarines are these kind of glass cannons, even though the Skitarii are a thing, the tech guard.
I love this Skitarii.
They're cool, but they're like, you've got like hundreds of thousands of Space Marines going to the front lines across the galaxy. You kind of need someone else to be a frontline version of a tech priest. And thus they said, okay, how about we train some of your Space Marines to become a new class called the Techmarines? Do we fellas have any idea why they're called Techmarines?
Because they work with the chapter's technology. If I had to make a guess.
Bingo! Exactly.
Crazy.
It's a very, very inventive name. And these guys are not just, expected to fight like other Space Marines, but they're also the guys who are going to do field repairs. They're going to, if ever you're like equivalent of the AA is needed, if your tank breaks down on the highway and you need someone to get out and give it a push or figure out what's going on with the tires, you call these guys in. They also preserve the gene seed banks. They maintain all the machine spirits of all the weaponry. They also can do stuff like this where you can like, oh, here's this thing in the field that I haven't got any I know what this is, but it's not my stuff, but I'll use it to our advantage. And so these guys are extremely important for every Space Marine chapter, Legion, traitor, or loyalist alike. You can't run a chapter without a Techmarine. They are the dog's bodies of the chapter.
What?
You never heard that term? Dog's body?
Dog's body?
I have not.
It's a bit British, I suppose, but it's like the idea of like the guy who kind of does all the work and doesn't really get much like credit for it. Yeah, but he's doing everything. Well, no, it's like I'll go into it, but like, yeah, dog's body is just kind of like a way of just being like, yeah, they do all this work and they're a bit underappreciated in that regard. And to make a Techmarine, these guys spend 30 years on Mars training to become a Space Marine, Techmarine. And that's 3 decades. I've not spent 3 decades doing anything in my life because I'm in my 30s. You guys haven't even lived 30 years. So it's a long time. These young'uns dressed as the Legend of Zelda. Yeah. And they're not as good as a Magos or a high-ranking tech priest in terms of like how good they are with technologies, but they're a damn sight better than anyone else in the room, especially when it's concerning Space Marines. And these guys are expected to do everything from, repairing a tank to, one of the engines blown out on the on the battle barge. Can you go outside into space and kind of like mag lock your boots to the back and see what's going on with the gubbins? Like, okay, these guys do everything. And after 30 years training with a bunch of gribbly wibblies on Mars, they're not really treated the same as they were when they left. And it's not the same thing as librarians, where many chapters don't let people use librarians in their fold. Some chapters also disdain the useful evil of a librarian, but Techmarines are just kind of weird. Well, there you go. And Techmarines are these like other weird, like, how would you describe them? Like, that like kid at school.
The kid who likes wars a lot and will tell you about all the tanks that they used at the specific battles and planes.
You know the difference of the Bradley versus the Sherman in terms of the length of their tire treads. Like, what?
Yeah, or the train skid, something like that.
What are we talking about now?
Oh no, hang on now.
Yeah,
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being the trains or the World War kid. Just saying it's an equivalent.
Mm-hmm. I thought at first Colin was like, I was a train kid. Like, leave Colin alone.
I was quiet about it, but I did like my trains.
Choo choo. And yeah, these guys are very important, but they also have some weird affiliations with the tech priests, because Space Marines, even in current day, are anywhere from I'm a zealot who believes the Emperor is a god to the Emperor's not a god, but he's also the guy I love the most in the whole wide world or whole wide galaxy. Techmarines are strange because they are half in that camp and half in praise the Omnissiah. And so they know these hymnals, they have rites of activation, they carry like incense with them, and they try to placate the machine spirits of everything from your gun to your tank to your spacecraft to your fridge. It's like these guys are strange. And so they're kind of quasi-religious in the way they act. And as such, they're tolerated, but they are totally other than other Space Marines. And so no matter how much prestige, how much respect a Techmarine gathers in their career, they'll never rise beyond the stature of like the useful guy who will never be like given command of entire campaigns, with very few exceptions with things like the Iron Hands. These guys are respected, but they aren't cherished the same way that a normal battle brother is, which is a bit sad. To give you an idea of how strange these guys are, the guy I'm playing as right now, he's got the red armor and just the one pauldron, which is in their chapter colors. Generally speaking, if a Techmarine tried to paint any more of his armor in his chapter's colors than just the one pauldron, the machine spirit will probably rebel and it won't work no more, because you're basically an envoy, an ambassador of the Omnissiah, and so you've got to wear the right color scheme in the eyes of the red planet. And so in that same regard, they treat anything which is like laziness with regards to things like machinery as blasphemy. So if you were waking up one day and it's like you haven't cleaned the oven, they're like, blasphemy. If you're, I didn't check the oil in the car, blasphemy. I didn't check the toner in my printer, blasphemy. It's like you gotta always keep an eye on the stuff you work, because at the end of the day, if you don't, your guns will jam, your tank won't move, and your your box cooler won't chill no beers no more. So you got to respect the machine spirit. And for the most part, Techmarines have a very solitary life, because no one in their chapter, other than their fellow Techmarines, really treat them as equals, really treat them as true brothers. They're these weirdos who tend to stay in their workshops, tinkering away on things, kind of like Warhammer fans who are just, they sit in their room in the dark, making miniatures, painting miniatures, gluing things together, and everyone's like, Lovely. Are you going to go play football? It's like, no, actually, I'd rather do this.
I like
the dark. We're all Techmarines, really.
Darkness.
Yes. And what I find interesting about Techmarines is their depictions in the lore. You get one like the guy in the Black Templars in Hell's Reach, Jerizian. He's very kind of dull and droll, and it's all, Grimaldus is like, can you activate this machine? And he's like, I've never seen something this big before. If I were to try and reactivate it, it would take days and days. It would be like mapping every atom in a star. I'm going to go on and on and on. And to the point where Grimaldus many times like, Jerizian, can you do it? Stop going on and on and on. Get to the bloody point. But then another Techmarine in the Angels of Death series, is it Hadriel? Who's a Blood Angels guy, is actually quite beloved by his brothers, and he's very chipper, and he's all like, hello, brother. I've just been looking after the Gene Seed Vault. It's me, Hadriel. I'm cool. La, la, la. Favorite character in the whole show. And so there's not really like an imprint of like what a Techmarine is in that regard with their personality. One book that is quite interesting is Voice of Mars, I believe it is, where Cardan Stronos, who's the future chapter master, well, war leader of the Iron Hands, is training with a bunch of other Techmarines. Like there's one from the Black Templars, one's from, I think, the Sons of Dawn. There's like a few of them from different chapters. I think there's also a Charnel Guard. It might be a Charnel Guard, but there's like a Blood Angel successor guy, and there's like a bunch of Techmarines, and none of them are like, they don't have anything in common other than the fact that they are all Techmarines, and therefore it's like outcasts stick together sort of thing. But go for it.
This is unrelated. This is the best footage that we've ever had during a stream. It's more than 5 FPS. Did you upgrade your internet or something?
No.
Or is Hal not being here making the quality substantially better?
How does a drain on our resources? We must excise
I don't know.
I like to a tumor.
We're not saying anything. The footage is speaking for itself.
Okay. Well, again, I think I have a substantial. I have a theory. We're talking about the Omnissiah's finest. Therefore, we have placated the machine spirit of the streaming software. Therefore, it's like, oh, it's my time to shine, baby. Look at me. It's about Techmarines. Woo.
Yes, blame Hal for everything, says your SPFB. Hal is visiting family right now, like a good person,
like a good boy, and yeah. So like these Techmarines are on Mars, and they're all training together, and it is also worth mentioning that like the Iron Hands and a couple of other chapters have a special place for the Tech Priests of Mars, like Steel Brethren, Iron Hands, Sons of Medusa, mate. Like any Iron Hand successor are like treated with extra like kindness not kindness. They're given more tools in the toolbox. Like Cardan's on this planet with these other Techmarines, and one of the Tech Priests is like, hey, by the way, I'm going to do some weird shit. Come with me. It's like, you get special treatment. I'm going to like do surgery on your brain and give you like all these enhancements on your tissue. Like, okay. I mentioned it before, but there's like a cool bit where he's on the operating table. Someone kills the Magos. He gets up with his brain exposed, and he just kind of like kills the guy with his hand, then just puts the top of his skull back and just goes staple, and staples his skull cap back on. And it's like, oh yeah, he doesn't mess around, does he?
But when Fabius Bile does it, it's a big deal.
Yeah, no one likes Fabius Bile. Fabius,
yeah, that's like, there's like not consent involved in that one.
Yeah, Pupius smile, and yeah. So, what's worth remembering is that like as soon as they get back from Mars, they are completely treated differently for the rest of their life, and it's very rare that a Techmarine after their training will ever see another Techmarine again, because it's like, where are you going to see a Techmarine? You're not going to see them in your like starship. And let's be honest, you're going to be working overtime every day to make sure that everything's running. And even on like joint campaigns, when are you going to go in the field? Probably not, because you have to look after the sewage system's broken on the ship. Oh, and there's a malfunction with brother Tedium's bolter. It's not shooting properly, or there's that rhino that brother Eli took into the field and broke, and now you got to fix it. Like, oh, okay. Like the list of things for a Techmarine to do is so ridiculously long that they never have time to do anything, and they probably don't even sleep that much, because they probably have like upgrades in their brain, so they don't need to sleep much. And Space Marines don't even need to sleep much anyway, so they're probably always working all the time, and it's very tedious.
So yeah, they're the machine guys, but like the only ones.
Yeah, and they're like, what if we put the mechanic in the basement? Like, yeah, I want my car fixed. Yeah, let's put him in like a danks.
Back in the goon cave with you, Techmarine.
Here's some magazines. Enjoy yourself. It's like, these aren't magazines, these are technical documents on like how to repair your car. That's mean. And the only real progression for a Techmarine is there's Techmarines and there's Masters of the Forge. Unlike librarians, there aren't like, as far as I'm aware, intermediaries. It's just like you're a Techmarine or you're a Master of the Forge, and there's only one of those per chapter. And Masters of the Forge are important. They are one of like the most senior positions in a chapter, but other than the Iron Hands, none of them will ever become like a chapter master, and they'll never be treated with the same respect as a captain, or even like I suppose a librarian. With the mistrust they have, they're really useful at seeing future problems. Apothecaries, are literally responsible for the safeguarding of the chapter's bloodline and future survival. Techmarines are important, but they're never going to be as respected as apothecaries in that regard. And they're even precluded from attending certain religious ceremonies and event days. So like if it's the day of Emperor's Ascension, Techmarines are not invited because it's like, you kind of praise the Omnissiah a bit. You didn't get to come to my birthday party. So, oh, that's a shit. I thought we were friends. Like, we are friends, but you're also like, you're half in with like the machine god. I don't want to have like a machine god fella at my birthday. It's like, oh, okay. There is like the symbol of the Mechanicus, the Machina Opus, which is the cog with the skull. That's their like mark of office once they get promoted to a full Techmarine and they leave Mars or whatever forge world they're trained on. And they have to keep this symbol pristine because if it gets spattered with oil or blood or viscera or poop or whatever it is that in day-to-day it gets smothered with, if that starts to get a bit too hard to see, or your machine spirit's going to get angry. And it's such an important symbol for a Techmarine. If you show it off at a forge world, whether it's Mars or anywhere in the galaxy, you have free reign to go wherever you like because you're a Techmarine. It's like, we trust you. You're one of ours. You get to have free reign on our docks, our weapons, foundries, administration, whatever you need, you got it. You can go anywhere you like. So there is a little bit of camaraderie in that regard. But the fact remains that no chapter can survive without a Techmarine. A Techmarine has to always be present in any chapter, and they're so valuable to the function of the chapter that often they don't even have frontline duties unless absolutely necessary, because again, they are always working on stuff because things always break. And this is the series where it's like there is no innovation, it's complete decay and erosion. So you can imagine how busy a Techmarine gets in all this. So basically every Techmarine has a servo harness on their backs, and they can be fitted with all sorts of stuff. So you get servo arms, mechadendrites, you get like the equivalent of blow torches, guns, all sorts. And Techmarines love nothing much more than finding exotic and strange technologies, sometimes verging on the heretical. And they like to, if not use them, understand them, because they are not so hung up on the Mechanicum's ideals of we've got to not innovate at all. We've got to be careful of how we use technology. They're a bit more again because they're not treated as like true tech priests. They're a bit like, oh, I'm just going to do some weird shit occasionally. You'd be very hard pressed to find a Techmarine that's got anything simple in their arsenal. So if you gave a Techmarine a bolter, it's not just going to be like bog standard, straight off the sprue, it's just a bolter in it. It's like, no, it's going to have like a banana clip, it's going to have an optic lens, it's going to have a combi attachment, grenade launcher, it's going to have like all these little weird gubbins clipped onto it. To the point where even the one I'm playing is right now, like the bolter on the most simple thing on him is the bolter that's attached to his backpack that he's not even shooting himself. It's just like, that's just like the extra little icing on the cake.
Are they playable in PvP?
Yes, they are a class you can play on PvP. I believe you can get like a Warpsmith version for the Chaos Army, which is cool. But I haven't tried them in the multiplayer yet because I was having too much fun in the PvE. And as you can tell, I wasn't playing with anyone because I knew I wasn't going to get any matches because everyone would want to level up this class now. So there's no point. And yeah, the Techmarines never really wear gaudy finery. They're not too bothered about, look at this gold sparkly laurel wreath or this tabard with like my greatest exploits etched on the front in silk. And here's a letter from my dad, like, you're such a good boy. Like, nah, they're not too bothered about that. They're very practical. They're very like, oh, I just want to put as much like effective tools on my stuff as I can. And usually they have to be quite creative with how their power supplies, which are the backpack Space Marine use. It's like that runs a normal piece of armor. Strapping all this extra stuff to it, you're going to have to find somewhere to get all this extra juice from. Like, where are you getting that power from? It's the same backpack as everyone else, so they have to start like recalibrating things and carry the one, let's stick some Xenos tech on this. Why not see what we can do to make it go a little bit faster, a little bit smarter. And thanks to the Primaris as well, that's also become a little bit easier because new armor marks means more efficient. You're not using the same 10,000-year-old piece of armor from the Great Crusade or whenever it was built that's got like all these like seal marks of like, this is when I welded this bit shut and this is where I put this patch on this patch and tried to rebuild it. Yeah, this is where I super glued that on this bit. So they're eating pretty good these days with the post Indomitas Crusade. They're also the guys responsible for replacing lost limbs. So if your arm gets cut off by a Necron, you're going to go first to the apothecary, and then the apothecary is going to call in Tim the techie. Be like, Tim, I'm going to need one of your cybernetics for this guy. Like, okay. And they as such work very closely with the apothecaries because not only are they responsible for replacing limbs, but they also protect the gene seed vaults. So you've got to be very but put it this way, if you had like a chapter that lost their Techmarine but had their apothecary, yes, you could retrieve the gene seed, but if the cooler you're supposed to put it in isn't working properly, it's not going to last long before it perishes. So it's like, okay, you got to kind of work in tandem. And they often carry the equivalent of like a workshop on their backs because you never know in a boarding action of a Space Hulk if you're going to find a collapsed tunnel. Or maybe there's like an example I've heard of once where these Space Marines are in a Rhino tank. It gets like hit by a rocket. Techmarine gets out, grabs it with his servo arm and just like lifts it up from the bottom and starts welding like the treads back together. And all the guardsmen are there like, the fuck?
It's pretty cool.
Just holding a tank up like it's nothing. And again, they also have like these Physaline torches, which are and plasma cutters, which are capable of cutting through Terminator armor if needs be. Because sometimes, like, if you have one of your mates in your chapter, he's fought a gene stealer patriarch, let's say, he's a bit of a crumpled mess, or folded in on himself. Are you going to get the gene stealer apothecary? He's like, can't get in. So okay,
it's too much crap in the way.
Yeah, remove all the crap. Get in there. Get the holy globules out.
Mm-hmm.
And Techmarines are also very capable pilots and vehicle, drivers because they can interface directly with technology. The only drawback of this is like, why don't we see like Techmarines in like the front lines all the time driving Thunderhawks and stuff? It's like, well, they've kind of also got to look after your ship and the gene seed vaults, and they've got to restitch Timmy's britches on his Mark 10 Terminus pattern armor, and he's also got to tend to the Rhino that's broken in the vehicle pool, and also brother Colin's bolter isn't quite working properly, and this and that, and so they can't be just willy-nilly put in the front lines because it's like they've got too much to do as it is. So give it to another Space Marine, because if he gets shot down and dies, oh well, at least it's not a Techmarine, because then who's going to fix the bathroom, which recently has had a water main pipe burst.
Speaking of, shout out to my brief leave of absence where if your LoreCrimes bingo card is missing that spot, you can slot in. Colin had to go shit very abruptly. I don't enjoy running to do it, but I have a very firm stance. It is much better to be late or temporarily absent than have shit in your pants.
Yeah.
A good saying to live by. Yeah.
Is this more chili cheese dog or other?
No, this was jewel chicken wings, but they're so good.
Wow.
They're so good, I'll take the risk. And yeah, bear in mind, like, Techmarines are pretty good fighters as well. They're not like duelists per se, but I mean, you want to fight a Space Marine with a Space Marine, fair enough. But if the Space Marine you're fighting has 2 extra arms, that's a bit more of a
tanks.
Yeah, like, I could just grab you with my servo harness and then just stab you in the face. Like, that's not fair. Like, grab one hand.
A little harder to deal with that asshole.
Yeah, like, I'm good at dueling, but his Physaline torch has just cut my head off independently from the fight. Oh, that's not fair. They're actually a bit more graceful than you might expect for these like heavily armored, like these walking tanks. Again, like the Angels of Death animation has Hadriel with like a one-handed axe, and he's spinning around and he's pirouetting and he's very like, "Ooh, look at me!" Because again, these guys are weirdos, and you don't expect them to do stuff like that, but they do, because why not? They also have like as you see in the gameplay, the kind of glaives, which are the two-handed ones, and I do like in the gameplay for SM2 now, you can just like charge with the glaive now and just spear poke people with it, and I'm like, that's really cool.
I love big sword.
And there's like a move where if you jump, you can then press the melee and you do this like spinning attack. I'm like, there's that gracefulness coming in again where you wouldn't expect it. And if
Welcome
that doesn't
back,
work,
Demo Man from TF2.
Yeah, we like TF2. Scottish Cyclops.
They got more of than they got the likes of me.
And yeah, like even if a Techmarine isn't in melee range, they're also a bit of a bugger at range, because again, they can strap extra guns on top of their guns. So they're like, not only do I have probably the best guns in the armory, but also I can strap a gun to my backpack, which will shoot you independently of where I'm looking, because it's kind of integrated to the sensors in my suit. Like, yeah, these guys are crazy. They can do all sorts. What they lack in terms of like a librarian is cool, because they can be like, I'm going to manipulate your mind or summon a warp rift. A Techmarine to say, but heavy bolter go burr. I have heavy bolter go burr.
I have every gun.
Yes. It's basically that scene in The Matrix, lots of guns.
I mean, to be fair, like, in Warhammer, it's kind of like Star Wars, where the highest tier wizards, like, gun usually doesn't work on them, but even just one step below, if you have enough gun, it's probably going to work.
Yep.
Magnus, yeah, you need more than gun. Araman, enough gun will do the job.
True. Yeah, the Master of the Forge on the tabletop, I don't think they exist anymore, but they had the conversion beamer, which was like a crazy weapon that got stronger the farther range you were at.
Yeah, there's some fun stuff with them, and their unique gubbins. I feel like even just like the mecha dendrites that snake out of their backs would be enough to be like, oh, I'm fighting you, and it would just strangle someone trying to hit them in the back with like a knife or something. And because they are Techmarines, they are always communicating with machine spirits. The better they are at that, the more senior they are. Usually, the less of a fight they put up when they don't want to do something they don't want to do. Again, I like in Angels of Death, Hadriel's trying to get this part of the ship to close one of its docking ramps, I think. And he's just like resorts to like, you will do as I say. And he's like hitting the thing. And he does like the classic cliche of just like smack the console. And then it goes, command accepted. Like, yeah, sometimes just gotta, oi, machine, do it, do the thing. And Masters of the Forge are so good at this, they barely break a sweat. Sometimes not even talking in like verbal cues. They're like sending binaric commands to their machines, talking in binary, like 0110000. Like, okay, I'll do that. I'll do just that. And Masters of the Forge are so good at making stuff. Occasionally, they make brand new like patterns of armored vehicle, but that's pretty rare. Simply because they have no free time. They have so much work to do. Have you seen how many of the speed bikes have been broken in the last battle? We need to completely replace the drive shank. Oh no! There's all these things I have to do.
They're almost allowed to make new things on a technicality. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they're like, I wish I had like a vocation where I could actually have like a weekend off. It's like, nope. You have 1 hour of sleep a day. Enjoy it. Every other day, every other hour of the day, you are working because, again, you are the dog's body of the chapter. They're also responsible for safeguarding the relics of the chapter in these big vaults. And the way that they treat their faith in the Omnissiah and the tenets of the Omnissiah is comparison-wise similar to the Ultramarines and the Codex Astartes, which we all know they love the Gilly book. And by the same token, the Techmarines are just as vehement in their faith of the Omnissiah, even if they're not like overtly zealous, I suppose. They will nonetheless be like the literal definition of by the book. You do it this way because it's in the manual. It's these guys, I'd
say that one's a little more forgivable because Look, in military tactics, that can be a fluid thing. What works on one guy won't work on another. There's only so many ways to wire up your house that won't cause an electrical fire. That's that one. It's good to follow the book. I'm gonna put my word on that one. I don't want an artist hooking up my stove. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, would you ever accept a Techmarine coming into your house to fix your boiler or something like that? Like, how do you feel about that? Yeah. Wouldn't be worried about what they walk into your carpet. Oh, you got oil on the carpet, mate.
They certainly look the part. So
I mean, look, I would hopefully try and convince them, take as little of the armor into my house as you need. I'm not sure if my floorboards are rated for, power armor, but for their expertise, come on in. I'm sure they can make some stuff a little more efficient.
Who do you reckon's heavier, Master Chief or a Techmarine? That's a lot of armor he's wearing. Probably the Techmarine, just because the Techmarine has extra bits on top. I think they're roughly the same weight. I think they're Marines and like Spartans. I feel like I've read Space Marines are also like roughly 1,000 pounds.
Probably, yeah. That's an easy baseline to just put on a piece of paper as an author.
1,000 done.
But if you add all the gubbins, it's like, well, that's. Now we're getting heavier.
And other than that, it's then a case of just talking about some of the unique types of Techmarines and a little bit more of some of their little unique traits. So there's not all that much left to talk about Techmarines because they are like very concise, very like not simple, but like there's only so much you can talk about a Techmarine when their whole gimmick is like, oh, they're the mechanics of the Space Marines.
They fix at a ting.
They fix the ting. And unfortunately there aren't I can't think of any particularly notable books where they're the focus. You got the Iron Hands books with David Geimer and the Iron Hands book called Iron Hands about an Iron Hand chaplain. And in that one, he's called a chaplain, and I think it's before they combined chaplain and Techmarine into an Iron Father specifically. So it's like an old book. But it would be nice if we saw a Techmarine centric book in modern 40k books.
That'd be nice.
We'll have to wait and see. But until then, I can tell you about some even weirder Techmarines that are unique to certain chapters.
We do like weirdies.
Yeah. Well, first amongst them is Grey Knight's Techmarines. Nice. Grey Knight's got to have a Techmarine just like everyone else. These guys just wear silver armor like everyone else. And remember, they're also psychers. So a psyker Techmarine is pretty nuts.
You got the best of both worlds. Gun and magic gun.
Magic gun. And to be a Techmarine for the Grey Knights means you have to be a particularly skilled one. If a Grey Knight recruitment is 1 in a billion or whatever it is, then a Techmarine Grey Knight is probably 1 in 10 billion. Yeah, because it's you got to be good at tech as well. You got to be able to reset the Wi-Fi occasionally. Oh, that's and magic. That was tricky. But they don't use any red armor. They just use the silver like everyone else. And yeah, there's very little about them. We just know that they exist. Cool. Briefly pointed on it before that Iron Hands are probably the most notable Techmarine enjoyers in the setting because they are the what's the word love technology technophiles. They're technophiles. Yeah. They are the technophile chapter / legion, and they combined their chaplains and Techmarines into Iron Fathers, who run the Council of Iron, which is an electoral body of the most big bollocks, most respected Iron Hands there is in the chapter. Ooh, dog. And the weird gimmick about them is they don't have a chapter master exactly. They have a war leader. And so after every single campaign, they all convene and they re-elect or elect a new war leader. So Cardan Stronos, who's the main guy in charge, has been re-elected for the last 200 years without stop. Wow. So he's got a pretty good track record. And yeah, they're probably like, whenever people think of like Techmarines, they think of Iron Hands because, again, they get special treatment from the Adepts of Mars. They already love technology as it is. They venerate dreadnoughts as like the pinnacle of where someone can be. So a lot of Iron Fathers, which are therefore Techmarines, also become Techmarine dreadnoughts. And there's also a fun dreadnought in the Uriel Ventress books, who's an Ultramarine Techmarine. And he does get turned into a dreadnought, and he has a massive hammer on his arm. And he has like a big forge bespoke made for him so he can continue making stuff as a dreadnought. I'm like, oh, look at him. He's like little, I say little. Big anvil.
Toys. To say,
ding, ding, ding.
Does he have like little like hammers that he just has to be really careful, or is he just making like land raiders and stuff exclusively?
Well, I know he makes the because Pausanias is the one who gets the necrodermic arm, and then Honsu cuts off the arm, takes it for himself. This Techmarine is the guy who makes the replacement for Pausanias, and he's like, I better not tell the Techmarine that I've been like making little etchings and stuff inside of it, because he'll be really pissed off if I've like besmirched his craftsmanship with things for me to like remember as penance. Like, yeah, don't let him know that you've been tinkering with his stuff.
Yeah. I guess he can't, even for being a dreadnought though, I guess he can make small stuff then. I mean, at least as small as like an arm. Which, little finger digits and stuff. You wouldn't think that's too small, but if you're the size of a truck, that's pretty precise.
Mm-hmm. Such a
So I have a suspicion that he wouldn't last very long in the setting, because there's that whole thing of the longer that a dreadnought is awake, the more crazy they get. So I'm like, surely with the workload of a Techmarine, maybe it's like a canceling out thing where the monotony of what he has to do day to day keeps him going, or maybe he's burning the candle at both ends and he won't be around much longer. I don't know how dreadnoughts, when the Techmarines work. You'd have to ask a dreadnought, but I'd assume it would be like either a boon or a bust. I'm not sure exactly which.
Either keeps him so focused, or he's made the 1000th mechadendrite of the day and he's about to go mad.
Yeah. Brother Harkus, that's his name. Cool. Well done, Patrick, in the chat. And you mentioned them before, Colin. There are the Sons of Medusa. They have a unique term for their Techmarines, which they call Forge Rights. And they form the Chamber Ferrum, which is their own bespoke, like, I guess equivalent of like derivative of the Iron Council. Because bear in mind, the Sons of Medusa were Iron Hands who defected to the Moray Creed. So they were originally Iron Hands, and then that's the Iron Hands chapter, not Legion. And then they went, we believe actually in this stuff, split off, did their own thing. They also have a unique thing as a chapter where they have 3 clans, whereas, Iron Hands have 10 for 10 companies. Sons of Medusa have 3, and their logo color scheme changes on, I think it's white on black, silver on black, and silver and white, or something like that. Like there's 3 different color schemes depending on which clan they're in. And that's like a fun little thing. I can't wait for Astartes 2. I want to see them in the Tonk going kaboom. Because when did that come out? 3 years ago?
Oh God, that a minute. It's been a minute.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
Astartes 2 will come out when the Warhammer TV show comes out. Never.
Yeah, we'll see. And here's I know this is you two guys. This is your favorite chapter. Let's talk about Space Wolves.
I love Space Wolves.
Kill.
I love them.
Kill.
I love Space Wolves.
So the Space Wolves, because of course they don't use Techmarines in the established sense. They have Iron Priests instead, and they do send them to Mars, but they also, before they send them to Mars, go on pilgrimages to find the gods of iron of Fenris, which live beneath the boiling sea near the Isles of Iron, where the Iron Wolf is said to sleep below the depths.
Everything is so
you made it this far. Made it this far. I was almost there. He's not going to say the word wolf. There it is.
Yeah,
it's still cool. It's still cool.
Then Collins broke his camera out of frustration.
I'm angry.
I love you, Space Wolves.
And yeah, these guys are very much like, we'll we learn the ways of the Adepts of Mars, but no, it's not real Techmarine. We learn from Fenris. Fenris is where we learn how to be a Techmarine properly.
Not real Techmarines, not real Psychers.
We are different. We have Iron Priests.
Classic.
And to be fair to them, they are able to craft unique weapons called Tempest Hammers and Hellfrost weaponry. And there is like a particularly like dwarf archetype disgruntled Techmarine in the Death Watch called Greybeard, I believe it is. And he's just like, none of the other Death Watch members are like, oh, he's one of those weirdos from, not just a weirdo from the Space Wolves, but a Techmarine from them as well. Oh, God.
Double.
And yet they're also like,
weirdo.
Yeah, but at the same time, they're also like, I broke my sword. Could you help me, please? And then they get it back and they're like, oh, this is actually really, like, what did you do to this? This is amazing. Like, he knows his stuff somehow. And yeah, they are, I guess the silver lining for them as well is that they're not as outcast as other Techmarines because they are like, we're sons of Fenris. We adhere to what everyone adheres to in our chapter. So there's less estrangement and, Iron Priests. Star Phantoms, they have a unique branch called the Brother Adepts, who are their Techmarines. Weird name for a Techmarine. And they love plasma weapons and combi weapons. That's about all we know. Emperor's Spears have Druids, not to be confused with their Apothecaries, who are called Druids. Not to be confused with their Librarians, who are called Druids. Or their Chaplains, who are called Druids.
It's like weird boys.
They really did not try very hard here, did they?
Nope. And they wear black armor and they are, quote, wholly teched up. So that's the Emperor's Spears Techmarines. Nice. And as we mentioned very briefly at the beginning, traitor Techmarines are called Warpsmiths, and these guys are naughty boys. And they usually have a lot of mechadendrites spilling out of their back like Dr. Octopus. It's like, what if we made Dr. Octopus and Satan have a baby? And yeah, it's pretty nasty boys. They tend to have alliances with the Dark Mechanicum because they like to make demon engines such as Mauler Fiends, Forge Fiends, and even Helldrakes and other nasty, big, shiny beast creatures, which are like the infusing of demons and metal. And they just love they just love the game. They're in for the love of the game. It's like, I just want to make some weird stuff. I just want to like make some crazy things and see what happens. So they're entirely driven with, let's just put flesh, iron, and demons together into a baby, and the baby is Angie. And they like to torture machine spirits for fun so that they can submit them to their will. They're dicks. Anytime they're in any of the books I've read, they're just dicks. Like, what was the one? There was one where there was a character. Oh, it was in the Uftak book, and the Mechanicum are trying to defend from the orcs, and there's just like a Warpsmith in the mix. It's like, I'm just going to try and summon a demon and put him in the like core of the Forge world for fun. Like, okay, you do that. Why not? And they're always a bit kind of Machiavellian and waxing lyrical, mustache twirling, and they're fun. Warpsmiths are fun, and they're pretty cool to look at. Like these, again, like metal guys with lots of extra arms that look menacing and torture robots for fun, and then make those robots into worse robots like Terminators. Like, cool, nice,
lovely fellas.
What lovely fellas. And yeah, so to combat against this, this is the inherent risk of a Techmarine getting a bit too lost in the source of creating stuff and innovating. Oh, can't innovate. So they are kind of held in check by their many doctrines of blasphemy and not listening to your machine spirits. You never want to be aggressive and try to bend a machine spirit to your will. You want to coax it and convince it and be its friend. You don't want to, let your bolter get grubby. You want to like clean all its parts, disassemble it, reassemble it. Make sure your armor's clean. Make sure that everything's tidy and orderly and where it should be. That's the mantra of the Techmarines.
You've heard it here first, chat. Don't let your bolter get grubby.
No, don't let it get grubby. I don't want to see any muck in your bolter, Although I do like is it Master of Mankind where it talks about how the Emperor chose the bolter not because it was the most like effective weapon or sophisticated weapon. He's like, this is just how you can make brutality very simply. Just like it doesn't fail or jam very often. It's extremely overpowered.
And it's scary.
It's scary and it's easy to mass produce and it works. So it's like grenade, go in, shoot, go boom. Easy. Like don't have to have any Gauss weaponry or plasma or it's like, no, big boom, go that way. Done. Cool. And yes, and so the same way that a chaplain looks after the spiritual health of a chapter and the apothecaries look after the mental, the physical well-being, the Techmarines are like the orderly, like make sure everything is tidy and that your martial abilities aren't going to be impeded by your own laziness or lack of discipline. And these guys are also the guys responsible for telling their chapter master when supplies are running low. Like, hey, Calgar, just let you know, we need like 15,000 crates of bolters. We need this much promethium for the flamers. We need some new tank treads for the rhinos. We need this, we need that, we need that. And then Calgar's there looking at this list. Oh, for God's sake, like, oh my God, the shopping list is ridiculous. And as such, Techmarines, again, when the chapter is at full strength, they're very rarely on the front lines. There's always a reserve of them on like their flagship chapter, like Fortress Monastery, somewhere in the back rooms, toiling away, fixing things, modifying things, all that good stuff. And I cannot stress how much work these guys have to do, because even though they do have labor thralls that they, usually name like Alpha, Beta, Charlie, Sigma, whatever. They give them like designations. They can these guys are lobotomized. They can only do simple tasks. Techmarine's got to do a lot of sophisticated, weird stuff and praying to his microwave, etc.
My chud labor thrall, my stupid chud labor thrall, and they are also the guys responsible for waking up dreadnoughts, which is a pain in the ass because I don't know if you've ever tried to wake up someone who's been asleep for 100 years. They don't want to get up. Like I have difficulty waking up in the afternoon, let alone the morning. Dreadnought's worse than me. But yeah, that's saying something. And the only other weird gimmick about the Techmarines is that when they get sent to the Death Watch, they're not usually sent when they're a senior Techmarine. They're sent when they're kind of a junior rank, a bit of a novice. And this is possibly because as you become a better Techmarine, you become more dogmatic and entrenched in the tried and true. And, this is how things work. Therefore, that's the only way to do it. But also there's an element of probably, we don't want the really skilled Techmarine of our chapter going to the Death Watch where he'll probably die. Let's send one of the junior ones instead so we can uphold our oaths and not lose a valuable member of the team. And also maybe because, Watch Fortresses, they're going to entice Techmarines with, hey, we've got some weird alien shit in the back. Really? Okay. Because they have vaults full of like weird Necrons stuff, Eldar stuff. Hey, can you figure out how this like orc like slugger works? Oh, I'll give it a bash. It shouldn't work. It's working. Figure it out. I don't know. And so some Techmarines revel in the chance to be part of the Death Watch. They're only sent on kill teams if there's like a particularly impressive like relic that they need to recover without damaging. So they're like, right, you boys, I'm going to come with you so you don't break it. It's just, I know what you're like, Gunter, with your heavy storm bolter breaking all my stuff. I saw what you did to the latrine the other day. And it's like, yeah, so
you gotta go.
And yeah, like Techmarines are there's not much else to talk about. They're just like, yeah, they're on the spectrum of when they're younger.
They're on the spectrum, all right.
Oh yeah. Well, they want to be like, I want to learn about these cool technologies and I want to broaden my horizons and innovate. And then it's like, as you get older, like, no, that's blasphemy. No, I'm in my conservative years now. I'm going to just be like, not having any of this, none of these liberal ideas. I just want to. A bolter is a bolter, and it should be a bolter as intended by the God Emperor, said Techmarine of 1,000 years of service. And with that said, that's pretty much all I've got on the Techmarines. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add?
I've read one Horus Heresy book. like 10 years ago where I feel like one of the main characters was a Techmarine.
Was that the Raven Guard one? Clade?
Probably. I don't know. They come out of there's a scene where they come out of a drop pod, and that's for some reason that's what I'm remembering the most right now.
Don't know. I know he's called the Carrion, and he's on Mars when the heresy happens. And there's also a Iron Warriors guy called Scaramanca, I think it is. I was like, oh, and then he goes all like gribbly wibbly, chaosy. And yeah, so the Carrion's quite interesting, but again, it's also like, oh, you're a Raven Guard Techmarine? That sounds depressing. What if you were the outcast amongst the biggest outcasts in all the chapters? Like, okay, you've got it pretty rough, dude. Again, Iron Hands books are good fun in that regard. There is one in a few of the Uriel Ventress books. There's one in the Hell's Reach book, Jerizian. But other than that, they are usually like very, very minor characters in the setting, like the Dark Angels comics. There's one who's just like in a few panels, and he basically arrives. Then he detonates a craft well to destroy some Necrons, and that's all he does. I was like,
what?
There goes that guy.
Lovely. How he just does that, does he? He just fucking pulls that one out of his ass.
It's a crash. So it's like a long crashed craft world, and the Harlequins are like, we're going to nick all the good stuff before it's like we're going to release the Necrons to attack the Dark Angels, and then
all right, I guess that's a little more forgivable.
And then the Techmarine's like, I can just overload its engines.
In one.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And yeah, there's not all that much to them. I wish there was more. Occasionally we get like quite a lot of chaplain focused books. Like there's the Caradons one. There's the one about the Flesh Terror. There's a bunch of them. And it's like, I wish there was more with just a Techmarine as the main character, because that'd be fun. Because you could explore that solace, that kind of not necessarily mistreatment, but maybe mistreatment by the rest of his chapter, or just his isolation from them. Like you could do some fun stuff with that, but I don't know. People don't. They're fun to play as. Fun to play in Space Marine. I like it.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough, yeah. Mr. Andy.
Okay.
They're cool. I'm glad they're here. They do need to exist. Yeah. Just logically.
I like them too. Ain't nothing wrong with a Techmarine.
Well, you know what they say? It's like no one thinks about plumbers until they need one. So yeah, the useful guys, you need them. They're a credit to society, and Techmarines are the plumbers of 40k.
The trade guys. Wow.
Yeah, working in the trades. But that said, there's one donation. But for now, should we go through some of our picks for mini of the week? Because we do have some minis that we've taken from.
When this code, send us your minis.
And the first one, I picked one from Benzel, who did put a whole team of Deathwatch characters, but I thought I'll just pick the one because this was my favorite. This guy here, he's an Iron Snake as far as I can tell from the Pauldron, and I think he looks pretty. I really like the lightning effect on the sword.
Cool power sword right there.
The Pauldron for the Deathwatch is very clean. It's very clean mini.
That is very nice.
Yeah.
That's very cool. How do you do those lightning effects? I just get good.
Very carefully, is what I assume.
With a lot of practice, I would say.
Yeah.
And then the next one, this one was from Carlin. These are from Green Hat.
Green Hat guy.
It's a real nice everything.
It's they said.
Was there a specific one you enjoyed?
I naturally the new Phoenix Lord. Yeah.
Of course.
But I picked it. One, I like the paint job, all of them. I like paint jobs that have like that. Thank you, Diabetes.
He's dying.
But they have like that dusty feel, like look to them, but they're not dusty.
Your minis look dusty.
Well, no, look, that's the paint job. That's clearly the
white
paint
highlight.
job.
Yeah,
like the white, sprinkly kind of highlight.
I like that too. I do that.
They haven't just been left in a bin for 3 years. But I also chose them aside from just, I think, good Lord,
the machine spirit is angry.
Yeah, I need a Techmarine. But aside from the fact I like all of them, especially Lycus, they're done quite well. I like it because they said that this is for a Warhammer themed D&D campaign they're running. Ooh. And I really like the absurd increase in power scaling going on here. I can't help but feel like there might be a favorite player because, going from right to left, we have, that just looks like Imperial guy. Navy guy, yeah. Sisters of Silence, gal with the flamer chainsword. Her and the chaplain, they're probably, depending on the circumstance, roughly equal in power level. And then a Phoenix Lord. I feel like you might have a favorite player in that campaign.
Maybe they fight the Phoenix Lord.
It could be that.
It's just like, I've got this commissar, got this sniper, got this spot, and then there's the Catan shard. Like, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Be a fun campaign though. And then the final one that we picked from Eli. This one was from Pyro, and of course Eli would pick
I'm biased.
Lucius the Eternal miniature.
It's a very nice Lucius. I like his pallid purple flesh.
It is a nice Lucius.
It's just a really cool model. I had also picked Green Hat Guy's Hedonites of Slaanesh thingy-majigger, but I was told I wasn't allowed to have the same person twice. So I quite enjoy this Lucius. I like the chemicals on the back too. It's a nice greenish blue, or bluish green, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, it's good. I do like this miniatures are like this. I guess is that the lair blade he's carrying with like the cool handle.
Yes, it is.
I think that's cool. I like the design of Lucius with the new style and the color scheme. I like the idea of choosing purple, where he's been throttled by someone else in the Legion a few times too many. So, it's getting to my head.
Shout out to Lucius too for avoiding the Araman treatment, and there is a reason to just take Lucius.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, we've got last time we had a question of the week. Well, we didn't have a question of the week. So Colin had a would you rather.
Yeah, it was look, we are professional here, but sometimes, there's a bit of a hiccup. So I just pulled a would you rather out of my ass. And it seems almost everyone is on roughly the same page. It was, what would you, it was just #rather. What would you rather be? If I remember correctly, the three options, I know two of them. It was a space marine fighting a demon prince. I think another one was like an ODST fighting the Arbiter, and then a Jedi fighting General Grievous. And we've got one. I'm going to go with the one angry homunculus who's the standout going against the flow here. Ultramarine versus Demon Prince is what you'd rather be. If I get a name, I'll be unstoppable. If I get the Demon Prince's name, they're toast. I'll win either way. I really like the confidence you have.
Yeah, it's pretty legit.
On I can get the name out of the Demon Prince before I explode.
I could take him.
To be fair, if he's a named character, he has a fighting chance.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And then the other two are much on the same page. Keyspeeper. That's a funny name. I'll choose Jedi. I assume it will be over the fastest, and I don't suffer as much to even get there.
Fair enough.
And Darian Wheatington, 1923. I would rather be a Jedi because at least there won't be any pain or suffering. Just hello there, then Force Ghost and happiness.
Hello there. Yeah. Well, thank you all for our impromptu would you rather at the end of last episode. But we do have a question of the week this week. And this one is, in the spirit of Techmarines, if you had to replace a part of your body with anything you want, what would it be? #flesh is weak. Now, I want to say right now, I can already tell where at least half of your minds are going. Get it out of the gutter. If I hear one of you like, I'm going to replace my wee-wee with a whisk, I'm like, oh, well, we already figured that was what you were going to put. Come on, put some creativity into it. Have some fun.
You cannot stop me.
I cannot, but we will all go, ah, ha, ha, very funny. And that will be the end of it.
Null oil is getting everywhere. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, no. Link is splattering the null oil all over his.
Yeah, when I base coated these guys in silver, I got it like, I don't know if you can tell, but yeah, as you can see, this white thing is not so white anymore, and there's silver paint everywhere.
Wow!
But it's all over my monitor too. I'm not gonna lie.
Wow! Gonna have to be peering through all the paint, like, what did I put on this Word document? I can't read it anymore. Anyway, so yeah, that was the Techmarines, everyone. Hope you guys enjoyed it. They're good fun to play in Space Marine 2. And on that, I guess we'll see you all next time then.
Did we didn't want to answer the
oh, did you want to answer the question?
Didn't want to answer that? I was just wondering. I feel like we
go for it. All right, then go on.
Our own question of the week.
Go then.
Oh well. I personally, I think the flesh is peak, and I wouldn't want to replace any part of it. But if I had to choose something, I would choose one metal hand, because you still need one other hand for hand holding, and I don't know. It would be strong and also good at painting. Maybe it could like be a robot hand that paints for me, so then I don't have to paint this stuff anymore because I'm bad at painting. I don't know. Or an eyeball, a robot eyeball.
I briefly said earlier, if I get the chance, I'm going full again. There's ahead of me lies two forks in the road. Either Rebecca, but me. So like, dude, I'm blue and like faintly metallic and the funky eyes, or Adam Smasher. I will one day show up to a LoreCrimes episode and proudly announce to all three of you that, I will politely ask, say, you look like fuckable cuts of meat, are you?
I feel like I'd replace whatever I need to replace in my brain so I didn't need as much sleep. So I could just do more stuff. That's what I do.
Sleep is a gift, Andy. Sleep is nice.
But it'd be good if I could make that gift a bit brisker.
It makes me think it's like the same. There was someone like some post someone made about like metal, but there was an equivalent one for immortality where they're like, but you'll outlive all your friends. You outlive all your friends anyways. Those you don't mourn you. Weak. Give me your organs.
Give me all the organs.
Immortality. You'll see everything and you go away. You'd be doing that anyways.
One more
Give
from
me your organs and I will rip mine out.
One more from Eli and Hal will wear a green hat.
Thank you.
Null burned half the hive and ripped off a knight arm. Wow. Impressive.
That's pretty cool. Impressive. I'm still wondering about this Phoenix Lord stuff.
Or is that Null?
Oh yeah, maybe.
It was Null. Null burned half the hive and ripped off a knight's arm.
Nice.
It's crazy. Pretty crazy.
Shout out Null.
Other than that, I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode, and I guess we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Love you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, please. Join the Discord.